Hi, and welcome to British Dad Reacts. My name is John, and thank you for watching. And if you do like this kind of content, then please consider leaving a like, subscribing, or leave a comment. Now, I want to mix in two controversies, I guess, in this video, and I've got two videos to show. But first, I guess I want to say is that, music and social commentary, politics, however you may describe it, have been around a long time. If you go back to the early days of kind of rock and roll and how that music was having a terrible effect on the youth. The Sex Pistols, banned from gigs and venues, shocking lyrics, railing against the society, and the society railing against them. The most controversial band on the planet currently are Kneecap. And I want to show a video of them that was taken in Australia in March 2025. And it's them playing a very controversial Irish rebel song called Come Out Ye Black and Tans. So I want to talk about the band, I want to talk about the track, hopefully give some perspective on both of those. And then I want to show how the track was introduced in a very comic and satirical way by Steve Coogan as Alan Partridge on British TV. And this was a real, a real kind of poke at the establishment, shall we say. But let's start with the track.
Free Palestine! Free the sex countries! Show me our land! This next tune for Sir Patrick himself.
Now, Kneecap are three young men from Belfast, and they represent what they believe the working class of Ireland. Not sectarian in terms of Protestant or Catholic, but really working class beliefs. And I'll come back to their use of Gaelic in a little while. But this is the track that is controversial.
Christopher.
Now, this is the reaction of an Australian crowd to probably a little known song originally, but a very well known song amongst the Irish. Now, Kneecap as a band, first of all, they take their name from a practice that was known during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, kneecapping. And this was people being shot in the kneecaps. A terrible, terrible thing. And it was a kind of vigilante justice, really, in that sense. And often it was done to kind of drug dealers, as well as just the kind of sectarian violence that was taking place. The other thing about Kneecap that's kind of, again, raised their profile or their status, I'm not sure which, they also sing and rap in Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, and English. And that's kind of brought, I think, to the fore the Irish language again for many, many people. And, I mean, in some ways, small languages for various countries, need to be protected. They're part of so many people's heritage. The other thing, of course, is that with the Irish language, so one of the tracks they had, and they put full stops between the letters, is C-A-E-R-T-A, Certa, which in Gaelic actually means rights, like your rights. The other thing is the band members, the three of them, they don't use their own names, they have stage names. So, for example, one of them, Mochara, which means my friend in Gaelic. So they've done a lot of things that are very different, and they've somehow tapped into a sentiment amongst the youth. And sometimes that needs to be listened to. So this was a video of someone they took at the gig in Australia. Now I want to talk a little bit about the track itself, Come Out Ye Black and Tans. It was originally, I think, made famous by the Wolfetones in Ireland, although it was written, the date is unsure, but I think in the 60s by Dominic Behan. And really it's a track about the period in Ireland, the kind of 1920s, 1930s, around what was called the time of the Irish Free State, and that kind of battle or war of independence, I guess, as Ireland tried to break away from British rule. And the British in control at the time were using the Royal Irish Constabulary, the RIC, and they drafted in probably about 10,000 people. Many of them were ex-army veterans from the First World War. And these were unemployed veterans. Not much change to today, really. And they were offered money and a pension to go and join the RIC in Ireland. And across the island of Ireland. And because there was such a large influx of them at the time, there was a shortage of uniforms. So they turned out in these very dark green jackets of the RIC, which almost looked black. And they wore the kind of khaki trousers of the old British Army. And that was the term black and tan. It was their kind of nickname, really. And the black and tans became very much associated with a kind of brutal regime, really. Violence, arson, attacks on civilians. and sometimes in some cases they're even accused of murder. And they really had such a poor reputation in Ireland, and particularly down in the kind of south and west, where the IRA were particularly strong. But again, you know, in the west of Ireland as well, they were known for their kind of brutality, really. So this was the time of the struggles against the British and the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. And that's what the song is about. But there is a bit more to it. But if we look at some of the lyrics, so for example, in the chorus that everyone knows, you know, come out ye black and tans, show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Flanders obviously refers to Flanders Fields, which is one of the famous sites from the First World War. And then they talk about how the IRA made you run away from the green and lovely lanes of Killashandra. Killashandra being, I think, a town in County Cavan, where the IRA forced a retreat of the Black and Tans at the time. Now, if you also look at the lyrics, the sentiment of the song is very anti-British Empire as well, and some of the atrocities of the Empire, I think. And in some of the verses they talk about, I think it's like, come and tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2, and the Zulus with their bow and arrows, and then there's some reference to the large guns that the British army were using against these indigenous people. So this was kind of sentiment against the atrocities of some of the British Empire. They also talk in the song about some of the more famous Irish Republican people, and about people like Parnell, and about the leaders at 16, which refers to the 1916 uprising in Ireland. So there's a lot of controversy both in the band and in this particular track and what it stands for. Now I want to show you this video, and this is about 5 minutes, but in its full, it's just funny, and how they managed to get it on British television, I still never know. But I'll talk a little bit about Steve Coogan later. He plays Alan Partridge here, and he also plays a west of Ireland Sligo, County Sligo farmer called Martin Brennan. And this is just good fun.
Ha ha!
It's aha, there's no H.
Did I put in a H?
You did put an H in, yeah.
Now, normally you're a farmer in the west of Ireland.
I am.
Okay. And how long have you been an Alan impersonator?
Since a week Thursday. My cousin said, Martin, you look like the fella off the TV. He showed me on the computer. I said, who the hell is that? He said, it's
Alan Partridge.
I said, who the hell is that? He said, he's a famous fella. He used to be on the TV way back. I had never heard of you. I said, who the hell is that?
Why do you keep saying that?
I didn't know who you were. My cousin said, you'd be as well being a Martin Brennan impersonator in Sligo.
Nah, because I'm never going to go there.
You'll be welcome on the farm. As long as you roll your sleeves up, get your hands dirty.
Get up the yard.
Who's that?
It's my cousin. He said he'd like to see you on the farm. Your man would be feeding turf to the sheep, trying to get a pig to lay an egg.
No.
Milking the bulls.
What?
Said you'd be trying to milk the bulls.
Dirty get. Disgusting.
Ha ha!
Aha, there's no H.
Ah, Becca did the H again.
H. And I've not actually said aha for years. So.
Yes, you have.
When?
Trying to get into the Johnny Walker tent at Silverstone.
Only to prove who I was. I'd lost my wristband.
Still said it.
Well, Trevor and Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Now, I should just say, Steve Coogan, who was born in the Manchester area in the north of England, very, very strong Irish heritage in parents and grandparents as well. So that's how he's able to mimic extremely well a kind of Irish farmer, both in terms of mannerisms, look, and accent.
Good. Now, I believe our intrepid campaigners are arriving into Downing Street to present their police dog petition. Let's have a look.
Awful hot in here.
Oh.
Right, they're not there. They've not got there. There's a cat.
There's a cat.
Martin, are you having a nice time?
Grand. I've not put my hand in my pocket since I left. And they're paying me £500. So if any fool wants to pay me £500 to gibber and jabber, I'll take his money.
It's a standard fee, so...
I got something for you.
Ooh.
Exciting?
Look in there now.
Yeah.
The name is there.
It's a tortoise.
His name is Alan.
Yeah. pretty sure these are illegal.
Where did you get it?
Yeah, you want any more of those, you come see me.
Doesn't want any more. She's asking where you got it.
I have a friend in County Kildare does them. Will you talk to me?
Well, I think, sorry if anyone's concerned, we will contact the RSPCA,
Yes.
but lovely gesture, lovely Irish gesture.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time
We
for
couldn't
tonight.
let you go without a little song.
Now, Alan Partridge, I'm sure many will know, was a kind of like comedy satirical character that Steve Coogan had created, and this is an alternative character, Martin Brennan, this farmer. And the kind of awkwardness of it was part of the kind of the humour, really, I guess.
Well, thank you anyway, but we've got a great montage of police dogs set to music.
We do indeed, yes.
I love you as I never loved before.
You're going to ruin a slow-mo sequence of Alsatians jumping up and biting the arms of dog handlers, set to Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran. It's great TV.
Come on, lads, come on. Come to me,
Please stop playing.
or my dream of love is o'er. I love you as I loved you when you were sweet, when you were sweet, 16.
There's something about the way kind of he just goes off into a song and then suddenly the kind of musicians appear and people have got musical instruments. And it's just so clever in the observation of that.
Come out, you black and tan, come and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away. Run the green and lovely lanes of Killashandra. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man should stand behind the men behind the wire. Come on, Simon! Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man should stand behind the men behind the wire.
Another kind of Irish rebel song there from the Troubles, the Men Behind the Wire. So I wanted to try and, I guess, talk a little bit about Kneecap and I guess give some context really to the kind of controversy that they seem to have created amongst, I don't know, the media, the establishment, whatever it may be, amongst certain people even, with their views and what they're doing and things like that. So I wanted to kind of give a bit of context to that. I wanted to show them doing I say controversial, but a traditional Irish rebel song and talk a little bit about that so that people kind of understood some of the history of that. And then I guess finish it with the comedy from Steve Coogan with this character of the Sligo Irish farmer, Martin Brennan. So thank you so much for watching. And again, if you like it, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. Kneecap. Come out, you black and tans.